How you going? My name's Terrence and welcome back to Rusted Iron Ranch. Today we're going to do a little video on our new hay rake. So I just picked this up the other day. It's a New Holland 55. I don't think they're called a Super 55. I think they're just called a 55. Made in Australia. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what I was looking for. Been looking for one of these for quite a while now. And this one came up for a good price and we jumped on it straight away. So what I'll do is we'll take it over to the shed and we're just going to go over this. We're just going to spray some lube on some stuff that need freeing up if anything, and just do some grease points and just check the oil in the gearbox. There's not a lot that we can do really. I just want to go over it and just kind of make sure that everything's good to go for when I need to use it when we hopefully cut some hay later on this year. Just fits. Okay, so here we are over at the shed. So this is a New Holland 55, as I said before, Rolabar rake. So this unit, as far as I could tell, is probably 60s, and I'm just going off the fact that it's a 55, which is one of the first models they did, and the New Holland logo is the old type of New Holland. So I'm thinking that it's probably maybe, it could even be late 50s into 60s. So considering that, it's in pretty good nick. I don't really have to do a lot to it. I've just sprayed some degreaser on some particularly dirty parts, like greasy parts, the back of the hubs, the prop shaft, bottom of the gearbox, and that's about it. So I might just spray those off. And my plan today is just really go over for anything up that might be a little bit stiff, just spray some WD on them or RP7 or something like that, and just go over the couple of grease nipples. I don't think there's actually a lot of grease nipples by the look. The prop shaft, the uni joints will have them. I don't know if like the spindles actually do have them or not. I'll go over and try and find them. The other thing is I am missing a couple of tines. So we've still got a couple of holders on some of them, but we're missing a couple of tines. I don't think there's any that are missing both of them, so they're kind of in pairs, and then the end one is just on its own. Now I did get one from the guy I bought it off, and that's been handy because I've at least used that to match them up to these. So I already had these. When we moved into the house, I found this box here, and it had a bit of hardware and some tines, and I didn't really think much of them. And I kind of thought, yeah, they'll suit something, but I'll probably never find what it is. And then when I grabbed this and got this home, I grabbed this out of the car and I thought, I'll just check them against the ones that I had, and they're exactly the same. Even to the point where I've searched the bear code number, and these are tines for a New Holland rake. So I've now got 10 spare tines plus all the hardware. So I think that's probably enough, just judging, to replace the ones I'm missing. At the very least, I'll go through, and I think, well, maybe there's one group where there's two groups where I'm missing both tines, so I'll at least put one in those spots, and then I'll go through and start replacing. There is a broken one there, so it's actually missing the tine. That one's loose, that might even be broken up the top. So I'll just go through, see what needs them, see what doesn't need them, and just get it ready to go in the shed and be brought out when we start cutting hay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I just noticed that this uni joint didn't have a grease nipple, but it had what looked like a grease nipple, and what was on there, I don't know if you can see that, was the snapped off grease nipple. And the way I got that out was I just grabbed, I think this is a number 3 easy out, which does, it might not say, approximately like an M8 to an M10 size bolt, and I just put that in there, and it really didn't take much because grease nipples are usually lubed up pretty well, so it didn't take much. Put the shifter on the end of it, and now I'll grab a new grease nipple for that, fit it, and we'll grease it up. Okay, so I'm just going to abandon this for the minute. The uni joint seems to be probably around the wrong way. I can get the grease nipple in, but you can't get the grease gun onto it because the yokes are in the way. So that uni joint seems to be a little bit suspect anyway. So I might order a new one of those and do that at a later date, and I'll make sure the grease nipple is on the other side so it's nice and easy to get to, much the same as this one up the top. Okay, now when I was just mucking around with the gearbox before, the selector lever came out, so I'm going to have to take the back plate off and see what the go is there. I was going to replace the oil in this anyway. Gear set looks alright, but there's not a lot of oil in there. Okay, so we have like a crown wheel and pinion up in the back here. The pinion drives the Rolabar assembly, and there's this like locker set up, so that's spring loaded, locked now, and this collar sits in there, and when you turn that handle, this should move around and unlock, which it's not doing. It's not the end of the world. I'd rather it locked permanently than unlocked permanently. Although it's not good that it was full of water, so I'm glad I checked it. Okay, so here's the deal. I found these 2 broken off bolts just sitting in underneath the crown wheel. So I'm really glad that I did check it. Not so bad because the crown wheel goes this way and it would have been pushing them back towards the back of the gearbox, but still not ideal. I don't want them crunching around and damaging the gear set in there. Pretty bad if it had picked one up. So I'm glad I checked them. Now, I was thinking I was going to have to easy out these broken off bolts, but just in touching them with the center punch, I realised that they're loose. And this one particularly, I just used this is a preload center punch, and it was a little bit tight, but I just kind of used it as an impact, and it actually shocked it round. So these are actually undoing. I can't actually touch them, but I can knock them with the center punch, and maybe a pick I might be able to use. But these will not need easy outing by the look of that, which is very, very handy. Look at that, it's just working its way out. Perfect. This one's probably far enough out. Awesome. Alright, now I just got to grab 2 bolts, and I might even blue Loctite these in with spring washers underneath the heads of the bolts. So I'm going to find some of those and I'll get that done. Okay, so we've cleaned out our housing. I just air pressure gunned it out. I did end up finding the 2 spring washers right down the back of the casing, so I'm glad I got them out. So I can be pretty sure that I've got all the debris out of here. Not that it was really debris, it was just parts missing. So what we might do, it'd be good keeping this inside actually, because there's no seal around that that top lever, so that's probably how the water gets in. So the little selector sits over to hold it there. Drops down. Okay, so now it goes this way. so when you pull the lever it pulls around that way and disengages. So what we'll do, just going to use some blue Loctite on our bolts, just in case I ever have to get this apart, but it means the vibrations or anything shouldn't loosen. So that should unlock it, yep. Now this doesn't really matter whether it unlocks it or not, because my cable broke when I was mucking around with it before, so I'll have to work out something with that cable to join that back on. And then when you you pull the other end of this, there's a lever attached up the tractor end. It just means you can stop it if need be. That seems to be working pretty well though. Okay, so I was talking to my granddad the other night, and we were talking about the rake, and I said I was going to go over the gearbox and all the rest of it, and I said just top it up with oil, and he said that it should take grease instead, and that was confirmed when I was looking at a schematic before of how this went together, and it said use number 2 or grade 2 grease. So what I've got is old school Castrol grease, LM multi-purpose, made in Australia. And I'm going to try and pack as much as this in as I can, so this is going to be messy. Okay, so we've packed as much grease as we can to the back. We've resealed our back of our gearbox. That seems to be working perfectly. Now, it will throw around onto the pinion, but I might just crack this top cap if I can, and I'll just use the grease gun, because my grease gun's got number 2 grease in it as well, so I'll just use the grease gun and maybe try and get some down directly onto the pinion. And once I'm all done here today, I will drive it round engaged, just to try and throw a bit of that grease around. Okay, now we're going to go through the roller bar, and we're going to replace any tines that are missing. I think I might have close to enough. I might have to buy a couple more. I've got plenty of the hardware to bolt them on, because they're a special little like flange that goes on. They're just really a coach bolt, square in the end, and just the nut that goes on the backside. So they just go together like that, which holds the tine on the right angle then. So what I'll do, I'll just go through any that are missing and just replace them as I go. There's a couple that are missing hardware as well, so I might put a couple there first. Otherwise, let's get to it. Okay, so when they snap, that seems to be where they snap, right up at the eye. Okay, so we've got all our tines on. I've run out, so I might need to get a couple more. Everything's freed up. The only outstanding stuff to do is this cable. I'll sort something out there, and the uni joint. I'm going to order that, because that one really is pretty bad, so I'll fix that. So all that's really left to do is check if it works all right. Just gonna unhook the hubs. There's little like detent clips and a little pin that you undo to then engage the hub to drive. There we go, that's locked in. that's locked in because it needs pressure to be unlocked, like that. So that's unlocked and that's locked. So we should be good. Let's give it a go. Okay, so it works. As you can see, the roller bars rotate on the star wheels, we'll call them, and they move over in that fashion, pretty sure. That fashion, so we'll call it clockwise looking at this here. And what that does is it picks up the hay from right over the side and slowly shuffles it across, and the next tines come along and just move it, and you can start building up a kind of like a accumulation of hay, but it's also picking up and pushing it to the side, and eventually you'll get your windrow coming out the side here. So that's kind of how it works. A little bit hard to explain without some hay, which we're not going to have for a little while because, as you see, the pasture's still growing. So there we have it, it works. Couple little outstanding issues, like I said with this, I'll just look at them a little bit off camera. I probably won't document those, just a couple little things. But all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I will be doing a couple more of these videos on our other pieces of hay equipment. I've just got to kind of go over them and same thing, grease things up, make sure things are working, so I can rely on them when that time comes. So if you liked the video, be sure to give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more of that content, so the hay equipment coming up, if you want to see more on the old vintage engines, if you want to see more on my Land Rover project, my Inter project, the KV 100 $100 motorbike, if you want to see any of that, be sure to subscribe, because I am going to be revisiting a lot of those projects, and there's still a lot of projects that you haven't seen as well, so stay tuned for that. Okay, with that, once again, my name's Terence, this has been Rusted Iron Ranch, and thanks for watching. Okay, so, just kneeled on a rock. Oh.